On the mic we got Lil Big, Kill Frying Pan, MC Britain, and Lil Cutie. Yeah. We begin with Rome for 76 AD, when it all fell apart in the 5th century. Constantinople became the Byzantine Empire, while Rome fell apart under enemy fire. On the western side, there was civil war. The very fabric of Rome was torn. Barbarians invaded like Attila the Hun. The formation of Christendom had begun. Succession of the ruler made tension, and Romans moved to the country with their kin. Slaves and peasants tied themselves to the land. The feudal system gave nobles the upper hand. This theme would carry into the dark Middle Ages, when paupers lived on dreadful wages. Secularism and the freedom to experiment, democratic voting and a fair government. So Romans fell but left a legacy. They're instrumental in our history. We will spit Mad Flavia in your ear, take you through history right in here. Cause and effect is driven by impetus, long and short term has affected us.
It was the age for exploring. This was not a time for snoring. Magellan was the first to circumnavigate the globe. Then Drake came around and took the Spanish gold. Advances were made for better explorations. Now compasses directly to other nations. Maps are turned the right way, and sails can go into the wind. Sailing early allows the rise of civilization. Jared Diamond has theories on exploration. The east-west axis gave Eurasia an advantage. Having the same climate was easy to manage. The immunity from the animal's disease made the Aztecs and Incans sneeze. Exploring the colonies, mercantilism. Every man for himself, capitalism.
We will spit Mad Flavia in your ear, take you through history right in here. Cause and effect is driven by impetus, long and short term has affected us. With the Renaissance comes hiss. Italy at this time was a place of bliss. The arts along with secularism were quite popular, as is here and now when partaking as a scholar. Humanism came in and could change many things. Creativity and inventions made mere peasants kings. Individualism made every person great. The poor became the rich in these great states. Skepticism brought down the Christian church. People began to do scientific research. The ends would start to justify the means. Nobles would rise, become true people, true queens. Is it better to be feared than to be loved? With fear, people booted the king, shoved. Venice was a prosperous state. Money came in and made it inflate. Milan was a crossroad that helped all of Europe. Money stuck to it, just like syrup. Florence's focus was textiles and banking. All the money went to the people high-ranking. Genoa was a port that focused in trading. The money kept enemies from invading. The Renaissance helped people see who they were. They had different ideas. The church did not concur. We will spit Mad Flavia in your ear, take you through history right in here. Cause and effect is driven by impetus, long and short term has affected us.
France had a 50 million population, whereas England was a 3 million nation. Nobles were not taxed. They just sat back and relaxed. 3 guys named Henry had a war, and there was not a lot of gore. Henry of Navarre gets crowned king, making France safer than Beijing. Then Cardinal Rich comes along, and he makes the king really strong. They slowly took their rights away from hugs, a 30-year war, like the Crips and Bloods. Cardinal Mazarin, regents for Louis, fraud and revolt almost made them chop suey. Louis is the epitome of absolutism. Religion was a problem, Catholicism.
We will spit Mad Flavia in your ear, take you through history right in here. Cause and effect is driven by impetus, long and short term has affected us.
Middle Ages, now a feudal structure was formed, people lived by religion, and the Pope scorned. He acted overbearing to a grown adult. He couldn't let the people at fault. Art offered no realism, just biblical scenes, differing greatly from those of the Byzantines. The vessels were given land by the king, but the serfs were tied to the fiefs, only working. The strict feudal order left peasants binded. From other possibilities, they were blinded. People saw no control over their destiny. People believed they were subject to God's intensity. It was a time of no growth. As a society, following the church was basic propriety. The social classes were well defined. Not until the Renaissance they were refined. The Middle Ages had a lapse in education, but for the Renaissance it built a foundation.
We will spit Mad Flavia in your ear, take you through history right in here. Cause and effect is driven by impetus, long and short term has affected us.
Growth begins in Eastern Europe, demand in education begins to develop, universities begin to secularize, time was continuing to change, people recognized, issues were identified in the church. By the Crusades, they were starched, monasteries were rich and unholy, monks' devotion to the faith became phony, priests didn't know what they were preaching, they didn't understand what they were teaching. Popes document their corruption. The church lost its religious functions. So many usury and indulgences made money, but Luther thought, oh, that was funky. Luther was a tormented monk. He thought that Tetzel was a punk. He stapled his thesis to church doors. In Europe, this was not ignored. He hated good works, believed in faith alone. To the priesthood of believers, he was prone. He saw authority in the Bible, not the Pope. Church asked him to recant, but he said no. Kings break monopoly of church power. Money allows the king to overpower. Calvin doesn't think communion's literal. He believes the Eucharist is a symbol. He thought some were born predestined. Risky behavior was widely questioned. Huss wanted church and politics separate. For democracy, this made a template.
The scientific revolution came around to help people's inventions lift off the ground. Gutenberg press, newspaper, these inventions were shapers. Protestant nations were the first affected, then all the others became subjected. During this time, the brain was used more and more. Now let's kick it to England, where I was born.
Alright, so now you just gotta scream shit.
I'm not screaming shit. An agrarian nation exporting mainly wool, exemption no option if the bank was full. Volatile noble families with the power to purse. Given the dodgy air, things can only get worse. A 40-year war fought over succession. The urge to be king became an obsession. The red beat the white in the War of the Roses. Decentralization, his marriage to Liz juxtaposes. This chaotic state would soon appear again unless Henry VIII produced an heir to reign. His paranoia caused many wedding bells to chime, but he was reasonable given the spirit of the times. He broke from Rome just to get a divorce. After a broken IOU, Henry fumes, of course. Edward VI dies young, son of Jane Seymour. Bloody Mary returned to Catholicism once more. She forced the Protestants to recant their religion, burnt them at the stake if they refused to listen. Then at long last came Queen Liz I, a woman, a virgin, and of illegitimate birth. She passed the Axis of Uniformity and Supremacy, overcame Philip, England's #1 enemy, in a system of intendants or a viable navy, but she still delivered her children to safety. When the line passed to the Stuarts of Scotland, the divine right of kings and palaces grand, they filled the Parliament with a sense of dread. All this exploded and Charles I lost his head. From then on, the kings were more cooperative, England was centralised and kings were supportive. Oh shit, that was the